Supposedly, during the infamous stabbing incident, I stank of booze. According to court documents, Mark Sanchez was charged with 3 misdemeanors for his alleged involvement in the violent incident with a truck driver in Indiana on Saturday, which resulted in several stab wounds to the former football star. Sanchez was accused by the prosecution of unlawfully entering a motor vehicle, public intoxication, and battery resulting in injury. According to reports, Sanchez is currently receiving medical attention for his wounds at the Indianapolis hospital where everything happened. At a hotel loading dock, Sanchez confronted the driver who was removing fryer oil from his truck, according to Char. According to surveillance footage, Sanchez can be seen approaching and opening the driver's side door before engaging in a lengthy conversation with the driver. The driver then heads straight for a hotel. The males are then seen on the CCTV footage circling the truck and chatting before the altercation gets physical. Sanchez is accused of grabbing the victim, pushing him to the ground, and throwing him against a wall. The former quarterback for the New York Jets pauses before taking off. The truck driver's statement to police claims that the feud began when Sanchez informed him that the hotel manager had ordered him off the loading dock. The driver claimed that after smelling alcohol on the former NFL star and observing his slurred speech, he leaned in to listen to Sanchez. The driver claimed that after Sanchez made 2 attempts to get into the truck, he pepper-sprayed Sanchez in the face out of fear. However, the driver allegedly pulled out a knife and repeatedly stabbed Sanchez after he allegedly advanced on him once again. Sanchez had upper torso stab wounds and was sent to the hospital. Additionally, prosecutors issued a no-contact order that forbade Sanchez from approaching the victim in any way. For the length of the lawsuit, the injunction also prohibits him from owning any firearms, lethal weapons, or ammunition. Former NFL quarterback Mark Sanchez, once known for his promising football career with the New York Jets, found himself at the center of a violent and puzzling confrontation in Indiana that has drawn national attention. According to court documents and multiple reports, Sanchez was involved in an altercation with a truck driver at a hotel loading dock on a Saturday, which resulted in several stab wounds to the former athlete. The incident led prosecutors to file 3 misdemeanor charges against him: unlawfully entering a motor vehicle, public intoxication, and battery resulting in injury. The shocking turn of events has prompted widespread media coverage, legal scrutiny, and public curiosity. How could a former professional football player, once celebrated for his athletic achievements, end up hospitalized and facing criminal charges in a small Midwestern city? This report examines the known facts, reconstructs the incident based on official accounts and surveillance footage, outlines the legal implications, and concludes with a summary of the procedural developments to date. Mark Sanchez, a former first-round draft pick by the New York Jets in 2009, was a public figure whose career was marked by both promise and controversy. Known for leading the Jets to back-to-back AFC championship appearances early in his career, his later years were defined by injuries, team changes, and a gradual retreat from the public spotlight. Since retiring from the NFL, Sanchez had worked sporadically as a football analyst and public figure, maintaining a relatively low profile. The events that unfolded in Indiana came as a surprise to many, not only because of Sanchez's athletic background, but because of the apparent randomness and intensity of the confrontation. Early police and media reports made clear that alcohol may have played a role in the altercation, as witnesses and the truck driver himself claimed that Sanchez appeared intoxicated. The incident occurred at the loading dock, a hotel in Indianapolis, Indiana. According to statements filed in court, Sanchez approached a commercial truck parked at the loading area, where a driver was removing fryer oil from his vehicle. This area, typically reserved for deliveries and maintenance work, was quiet at the time except for the driver's presence. Surveillance footage captured Sanchez walking toward the truck and opening the driver's side door. He appeared to engage in a lengthy conversation with the driver. The footage does not include audio, but court records indicate that the discussion quickly escalated. Witnesses later described Sanchez's speech as slurred and noted that he smelled strongly of alcohol. According to the prosecution's account and the truck driver's statement to police, the initial confrontation began when Sanchez allegedly told the driver that the hotel manager had instructed him to leave the loading dock. The driver, confused by the interaction, claimed that he leaned closer to hear Sanchez more clearly and at that point noticed the smell of alcohol on Sanchez's breath and his unsteady demeanor. The situation deteriorated rapidly. The truck driver alleged that Sanchez made 2 attempts to climb into the cab of his truck. Feeling threatened, the driver reportedly used pepper spray to deter him. Sanchez, according to the affidavit, then continued to advance toward the driver despite being sprayed. Moments later, the driver allegedly produced a knife, fearing further aggression, and stabbed Sanchez multiple times in the upper torso. The hotel security footage, reviewed by investigators, corroborates several parts of the driver's account. The video shows both men walking around the truck, talking for an extended period before the altercation turned physical. It shows Sanchez pushing the driver and throwing him against a wall before the two moved out of frame. Seconds later, Sanchez reappears clutching his torso before collapsing nearby. Authorities have not publicly released a video but reference its contents extensively in court filings. The visual evidence is expected to play a crucial role in the legal proceedings, both in determining the credibility of the self-defense claim by the driver and in assessing the level of aggression attributed to Sanchez before the stabbing. Police were called to the scene shortly after the altercation. Responding officers found Sanchez bleeding from multiple stab wounds and immediately transported him to a local hospital for treatment. According to hospital records referenced in the police report, the injuries were non-life-threatening, but serious enough to require surgical attention. The driver remained at the scene and cooperated with law enforcement. He was not immediately charged, pending review of the evidence. After interviewing both parties and reviewing surveillance footage, prosecutors concluded that Sanchez's actions constituted probable cause for misdemeanor charges related to unlawful entry, public intoxication, and battery. According to Marion County court documents, Sanchez faces 3 misdemeanor counts: unlawful entry of a motor vehicle, public intoxication, and battery resulting in injury. Prosecutors also obtained a no-contact order against Sanchez, barring him from approaching or communicating with the truck driver. The order further prohibits him from possessing firearms or other lethal weapons for the duration of the case. If convicted, Sanchez could face up to 1 year in jail and fines for each misdemeanor, though such cases often result in probation, fines, or mandatory rehabilitation programs if no prior offenses exist. While no official toxicology report has been released publicly, witness statements and police observations strongly suggest that alcohol intoxication was a factor. Indiana law defines public intoxication not simply as being under the influence, but as being in a public place while in a state that endangers oneself or others, harasses another person, or breaches the peace. In this context, prosecutors appear to be arguing that Sanchez's behavior met those criteria: approaching a stranger, attempting to enter a vehicle, and instigating a physical confrontation. Alcohol-related offenses are frequently treated as aggravating circumstances in cases of assault or battery, especially when they result in injury. In his formal statement to police, the truck driver described the incident as frightening and chaotic. He maintained that he acted solely out of self-defense. According to the affidavit, he said that after Sanchez attempted to enter his vehicle twice, he used pepper spray to stop him. When that failed and Sanchez continued to advance, the driver pulled a knife to protect himself. The driver said he did not intend to cause serious harm, but believed he was in imminent danger. His claim of self-defense aligns with Indiana's Stand Your Ground laws, which permit individuals to use reasonable force, including deadly force, if they believe they are at risk of bodily harm. After being transported to the Indianapolis hospital, Sanchez underwent emergency medical treatment. His injuries were described as multiple stab wounds to the upper torso, none of which were fatal. Sources close to the case said he remained hospitalized for several days for observation and wound care. Sanchez's representatives have not issued an official public statement. Legal experts note that his compliance with medical treatment and eventual participation in the legal process will be closely watched, particularly given the seriousness of the altercation and the involvement of alcohol. The case quickly attracted national media attention due to Sanchez's celebrity status as a former NFL quarterback. Coverage is largely focused on the shocking nature of the incident and the dramatic fall from grace of a once promising athlete. Public reaction has been divided. Some express sympathy for Sanchez, citing possible struggles with post-retirement adjustment, while others emphasize accountability and the potential role of intoxication. Sports media outlets have largely refrained from speculation, choosing instead to report the court developments as they unfold. No official statements have been issued by the NFL or any of Sanchez's former teams. Following the incident, a preliminary hearing was scheduled in Marion County Court. Sanchez was not taken into custody immediately due to his hospitalization, but formal charges were filed shortly thereafter. Prosecutors sought the no-contact order and firearm restriction as precautionary measures given the violent nature of the altercation. Under Indiana law, misdemeanor proceedings follow a structured process that includes arraignment, discovery, potential plea negotiations, and, if necessary, a bench or jury trial. Sanchez's legal counsel will likely explore whether the driver's use of force was excessive under the circumstances, though such arguments may be complicated by the surveillance footage showing Sanchez as the initial aggressor. This incident fits within a broader pattern of post-career challenges faced by former professional athletes. Many struggle with the transition from highly structured athletic careers to ordinary life. Substance use, mental health issues, and public altercations have been recurring themes in several post-retirement cases. While there is no confirmed evidence that such factors contributed here, experts note that public intoxication and sudden aggression often signal deeper personal struggles. From a legal standpoint, this case also underscores the risks associated with self-defense confrontations. While the truck driver appears to have acted within his rights, any escalation involving knives or weapons inevitably raises questions about proportionality and necessity. Investigators will likely examine whether the stabbing exceeded what was required for self-protection, though early evidence suggests it may have been justified. As of the latest filings, Sanchez remains charged with all 3 misdemeanors. The driver has not been charged. Police have indicated that the investigation is ongoing, but that no additional suspects or factors are under review. Sanchez's case will proceed to the standard court process, including pretrial hearings and possible plea discussions. If convicted, he could face fines, probation, community service, and mandated treatment programs, depending on the court's findings and any mitigating factors. The stabbing incident involving Mark Sanchez presents a tragic and cautionary case study in how quickly routine encounters can spiral into violence when impaired judgment, alcohol, and misunderstanding collide. Based on court documents, surveillance footage, and police reports, the sequence of events appears clear. An intoxicated confrontation initiated by Sanchez led to defensive action by a truck driver, resulting in serious injuries and criminal charges. While Sanchez is recovering physically, his legal challenges are just beginning. The 3 misdemeanor charges, unlawful vehicle entry, public intoxication, and battery, represent not only legal hurdles but also a reputational crisis for a public figure once known for discipline and leadership on the field. The case underscores several key realities: the unpredictable nature of alcohol-related violence, the legal complexities surrounding self-defense, and the public scrutiny that accompanies any celebrity's fall from grace. Whether the incident is ultimately remembered as a momentary lapse in judgment or a deeper indication of personal struggle will depend on the outcome of the legal process and Sanchez's future conduct. For now, the facts remain stark and undisputed. A confrontation at an Indianapolis hotel escalated to violence, leaving a former professional athlete hospitalized and facing the consequences of his actions. The courts will determine the extent of his responsibility, but the episode already serves as a sobering reminder of how swiftly fame, alcohol, and misjudgment can intersect with the criminal justice system.